Hello and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fiction. The podcast that revolves around one central theme, stories, and the people that tell them. We'll talk about movies, TV shows, video games, historical events, and weird news headlines. There's really no topic we won't touch. But it doesn't stop there. If you've got a story, something funny or random that may have happened to you or a friend, send it to thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. Until then, it's story time. It was a hot day at Wolverine and Cyclops' house, or otherwise hideout, in the morning. Cyclops and Wolverine were eating breakfast. I don't know why they call rice bubbles when they pop. Why can't they call it rice pops? Said Cyclops. They probably get nerds to come up with the names, said Wolverine. That's funny. I smell slime. Next thing you're gonna tell me it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, said Cyclops. It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, said Wolverine. You're kidding, said Cyclops. Take a look, said Wolverine. Wolverine and Cyclops walked out and confronted the turtles. Get them! Yelled one of the turtles. Wolverine and Cyclops started fighting the turtles. That's funny. Now they smell like metal, said Wolverine. Wolverine flipped one over his head. Smash! It broke on the wall. Soon, all the turtles were broken. Now let's follow the footprints, said Wolverine. What footprints? Said Cyclops. The one you're standing on, replied Wolverine. The trail of footprints led to a cave, and suddenly the earth started to move and break. I smell something fishy, said Wolverine. Don't tell me. It's the street sharks, said Cyclops. It's the street sharks, said Wolverine. Hey, I told you not to tell me, yelled Cyclops. The street sharks burst through the ground and started fighting Cyclops and Wolverine. And all the robot street sharks were broken sometimes later. Wolverine and Cyclops walked into the cave. And soon Wolverine and Cyclops came to a large door. They heard a voice from behind the door saying, and all the kids will do what the robot cartoon characters say because they love them so much. Wolverine and Cyclops broke down the door just as a man hung up the phone. Who are you? Yelled the man. I'm Cyclops. He's Wolverine, said Cyclops. Who are you? I'm the best villain on the earth! Toon! Said the man. What are you doing here? We heard you on the phone. That should answer your question, said Wolverine. Ah, you're here to stop me from taking over the city, said Toon. Exactly, said Cyclops. Tazzy! Bugs Bunny! Daffy Duck! Casper! Attack! Yelled Toon. Suddenly, a whole stack of cartoon characters came out of a tunnel. Wolverine! I can't hold them back, yelled Cyclops. Cyclops and Wolverine were thrown into a dungeon. But soon the wall was broken and a girl stood in the place of the hole in the wall. Well, are you coming? Hello and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fictional. My name is J.A. Bryden, and with me is my longest-serving friend, a man who needs no introduction, but I will introduce you to Chris Park as the man so impatient he would literally walk into a paddock with a knife and fork and eat a cow. Chris Park, how are you, my friend?
Well, I think, in all things considered, I would be doing the most environmentally friendly thing if I walked into the paddock with a knife and fork eating a cow, because I'm giving the cow a fighting chance. There's no guarantee that I'll be able to best a cow with a knife and fork. It's like that old saying, you can kill a grizzly bear with chopsticks. It's just really difficult.
Yes.
Same thing with a knife and fork with a cow, because again, I'm pretty sure once I stab the cow, it's going to either run, try to kick me, or just like panic around, and like at that point, with all that panic and fear, you've really spoiled the meat.
That's true.
You
It'd
want to
have to
give the
be,
cow hope before you eat it, obviously.
yes.
Now,
No, I definitely agree.
Brian, you opened this with what I would consider a phase 5 of the MCU. Would you care to give us a backstory of such a wondrous story?
Well, that story, funny enough, I was going through, I've been what do you call decluttering. So occasionally I got a few things from school, and I actually found that story called Wolverine and Cyclops in one of my school books. So I was about probably 11 when I wrote that, and I was just going, this fan fiction is like pretty amazing. So an evil villain called Toon that collects all these cartoon characters and makes robot versions of them for our heroes to fight.
Also, then the robot. So just so I'm aware of the intricacies of the characters, I don't want to miss any of the little plot points. He creates them so then the robots would tell children what to do, and then so basically they're influencing young children through these robots. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, yeah, super villain that so the robot could now I was a child, so it's probably like, you child, go do something evil, like throw rocks at that grandma, or like it's probably something like pretty mundane for a super villain.
I think you're downplaying you're downplaying the importance of this story. I think
Okay.
Clearly you were concerned about the rise of technology and the influence of children. I mean, clearly you're way ahead of your time in this viewpoint. So I think I think it's really quite spectacular. The evil cartoonish villain, clearly you've drawn inspiration from Elon Musk. Clearly that's
I didn't know who he was back then.
But no, but you're ahead of your time, sir. You're ahead of your time.
All right.
And you could say that the robots were really a metaphor for TikTok and the influence on the young mind. So really, it's quite a brilliant story. And
so what you're saying is I'm a prodigy.
I never doubted that for a second. Now, let's get down to brass tacks. In this phase 5 of this MCU styled movie, who is playing Cyclops and Wolverine?
Oh, jeez. Well, Hugh Jackman's back, but I'd want a younger. I know Wolverine isn't supposed to age, but you want a younger.
I was gonna say it doesn't strike me as the Logan aged Wolverine as he is now.
Well, I guarantee you, it was modeled off the X-Men animated series.
So, what actor would you suggest?
See, Wolverine is. I'm gonna need a few years, because it's like. But Cyclops, you need that Captain America type. I mean, I'd like to say Henry Cavill, because it's the podcast where we mention Henry Cavill at least once,
or twice
an episode. But look, you just need someone strong and confident and charismatic. There's not.
So why is that not Henry Cavill?
Well, he would make a great. He would make a great Cyclops.
Again, you're dancing around this whole thing, going, "Should he be a Cyclops? I don't know."
No, well, I'm dancing around the fact that we always say Henry Cavill, and it'd be nice to have another actor that's
sure. Vin Diesel. How about that? Are you happy with that?
Well, he's only allowed to be hit once, so.
Well, yeah, they have a contract where where there's a percentage of damage that they can take per fight scene. So
yeah. What about the guy who plays Homelander?
Oh, he's a New Zealand actor, isn't he?
Yeah.
Apparently, he looks nothing like Homelander when he's not in costume.
Oh yeah, well that's probably a good thing,
Yeah. That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
Yeah, but like Wolverine, you'd want someone short. Like you want to do the proper Wolverine.
What, like the 5'5"? Like you'd want to do
like in
or 5'9"? You'd probably say he was
in the very first X-Men movie where they tried to make Hugh Jackman look short, and they tried to make what his name? The Mars is his name James Marsden?
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to make him look tall, but it didn't work.
So I wonder what happened with that, where they've,
Well,
then they just went, screw it. You know what I think about when I think about Wolverine, that he's jacked. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's go with the muscles. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess
yeah.
I wonder if the actor had any say in that, or if that was just purely a studio thing where they've gone, we want him to have muscles.
Well, I think probably when you got Hugh Jackman more involved, like, because he's very, I don't know if he's as extreme as Christian Bale when it comes to, becoming the role. What do you call it? Method acting.
Method acting, yes.
But I think the more that Hugh Jackman loved playing Wolverine, the more he wanted to throw everything at it. I mean, when did he call The Rock? Because he called The Rock and said, "Hey, what can I do to bulk up?"
Yep. And The Rock said the same thing I did: steroids.
But we'll let the people know it's actually just eat a lot of chicken.
Yeah, we'll completely lie to the people who say, "Oh, all we do is eat the chicken." Absolutely. Just, that's how we gain like the significant muscle masses in our 40s. Just purely chicken. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing storiedy about that at all.
The power of chicken.
Power of chicken. I eat a lot of KFC too, but I don't see myself with rippling muscles.
I can't eat a lot of KFC because every time I want to go to KFC, the line is just ridiculous.
But that's because you have like you're in a one-town KFC. Like,
no, there's no matter which KFC I've been. Like, there's one in Richmond. There's one right near my work. Every single time. And that one time that you and I went on a run to get KFC, and then decided to go to Macca's instead because the KFC line was just.
Actually, you're right. There has been something to do with KFC lines, and what I've realized, and I made the mistake, and I keep making the same mistake. So all our listeners out there, I want to just warn you so you learn from my mistake. Every time I see the long line of KFC, I think I'm gonna outsmart all these cars, and I park
and walk in.
I get out, I walk in, and I see there's literally no one in front of me in that line. I'm going to get my order first, and I walk in and I order. And then they give me the number, and I stand aside. Then I watch as the side that handles the drive-through serves 10 cars, gets them out the door, while the two people who are meant to be handling my order are staring at their fingers and licking their butts.
Yes.
And I realize that the counter team aren't exactly your sharpest tools in the shed, and they are very well incentivized to get the drive-through people through quicker.
Yep.
This is a mistake I've now made 3 times.
Yeah.
And I want people to learn from my failure.
Yeah, it's the opposite for me though. If it's busy, I go in and I just bam. Yeah. But then I never get I never really get a meal like I've been, at least with Macca's, I've been getting shakes, chocolate shakes every now and again. Like finish work, it's like ridiculously hot. And I could go for a shake, and I just, bam, got it, So what's been happening with you, Mr. Park?
Well, I've gone on a bit of a television binge of late, which has been quite so I'm not sure how it started, to be completely honest. But for whatever reason, I woke up one day and I was flicking through the options, and I went onto my Amazon Prime account, all hell Bezos and the Lords of Prime, and I was seeing what I could watch on Bezos's offerings. I saw once again they said, "Would you like to watch Ring of Power?" And I was like going, "What a funny joke!" And I moved on. And then I thought, "Oh, you're up to season 2 of Discovery. Would you like to watch that?" And I was like going, "Well, not really, but you know what? I hear maybe it's good, maybe." So I sat down and watched season 2, and I was going, "This is quite an excellent show, better than the first season from memory." And I was watching it, and I quite enjoyed the second season. And then I was like going, so enjoy the second season, and what a great season. On to the third, and about 3 episodes in, I went, "This is shit. What happened? What happened?" And then I went back and go, "Oh, that's what it was. During the second season, Captain Christopher Pike was the leader of the Discovery, and unlike like everyone else on Discovery who decides to make every decision based upon their feelings and emotions and do stupid things, he's a captain who's thinks about things rationally and makes a decision based upon one, his role as leader, the number of lives it would save, and sometimes he made unpopular decisions that he then regretted but he knew that they were the right ones. I was going, I would like to watch a show about this fine, upstanding starship officer. And there it was, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. And I was going, let me just watch this. Several days later, and I'm going, this is one of the best shows I think I've seen in a very long time. And look, I am not a Star Trek person in any way, shape, or form.
Join the club.
But I get it. I really do get this show. This show harkens back to what people probably wanted, what Star Trek was originally. It has some modern twists and turns, but there's also just some episodes that were meant to be sort of like comedic relief episodes, and they were funny. They actually were really funny. And then they had some like throwbacks to some of the original villains and the original storylines and things like that. And it was really, really enjoyable. And then I went online to say, okay, let me look at the Rotten Tomato scores. The critics rated like 99% of Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like going, okay, that means nothing. The viewers rated 80%. And I was like going, oh. So actually, this is one of the series where the critics were like going, this is great. And the viewers were like, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And I was reading all the reviews, and I was saying after the disappointment of Discovery, I found this show, and it was about, I was like, okay. So there was a lot of reviews, all of the same tone, saying Discovery was terrible, but this show, now this is where it's at.
Now tell me, because I'm yet to watch it. It's on the list because I'll watch it with my old man because he's a Trekkie tragic.
Yep.
What is the skivvy game like?
Oh, on point. The right colors. The gold of command, the blue of the science and doctors, and the red shirts of the expendable line of crew.
Because the problem with Discovery was it's like this is set like what is it before? It's set before the first series Star Trek series.
Yeah, but not by too much before. Yeah,
and yet their uniforms like what different. Happened? Did they get a real big budget cut? Just across the board, like
they've never really specified that, because you're right, in Discovery they're all wearing very generic sort of military styled uniforms, and then in season 2 Christopher Pike appears in the Starship Enterprise and he's wearing the gold thing. All his crew are wearing the colors, and when he joins the Enterprise, when he joins Discovery, he switches back to the boring color shirts and things, and he goes what an interesting choice you have of uniforms, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And he sort of references it and makes jokes about it. Like, and then there's funny things where in that first season, the second Discovery, they're all they're staring at the Enterprise going, wow, look at that ship. It must do like warp 9, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, well, one should not be envious of another man's ship, And it's a very, very good line. Funny guy. Well, it's not really a spoiler that's out there, but they do bring in a young Kirk. And that worked so well because it's the one thing I really liked about Stargate as well, which they very much are taking that from the Star Trek, where hey, your society's wrong, but we can't. But with this one, unlike Stargate, who went about trying to change society, they're not like General Order 1. They're not allowed. So it's like, hey, your society's wrong. We should do something about it. No, we can't, because that is like we're bound by this law.
Yeah,
we do not interfere with the law, and so there's times you get frustrated. And you can see that even the people start to be getting frustrated because they're going, we should literally we could literally press a button and solve their problems, and they're going, no, we can't.
Yeah,
that is not our role. And I was like going, oh, beautiful.
When Stargate's like, Stargate, space colonizers.
Exactly. It's like going, your society's wrong. Here's how you can. Here's Western civilization and American law. This is the best law you'll ever have. You follow this law.
That's so funny. But you didn't even think about it back then. When we watch it, we go, but That's funny.
Basically, yeah, they're spreading American imperialism all across through space.
So I have this thought now.
Yeah.
Do you think, now hear me out, do you think the Wiggles used to be part of Starfleet?
That's a good question given the outfits. Maybe they're a long-term deployment, and maybe they're trying to, like, not through the technology, slowly shape the minds of children for the better. But they've obviously, like, because it's been how many years now, they've lost sight of their mission. They and so quite possible.
Do you think the big red car isn't actually a big red car?
But a starship.
Yes. There's so many scenarios that we could do with this.
But it's still, they are still interfering, I think, too much for them to be true Starfleet.
Yeah. Unless they're Starfleet that went rogue.
That makes more sense, a rogue Starfleet. But if they went rogue, they would just be giving us their technology and, like, solving it, like giving us the technology and solving.
Yeah.
Now, I will say one thing for you, Jamie, just to sort of, like, give you forewarning.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people on the right watched about 20 minutes and then said, "This is the worst show ever." And the reason was because he was talking about, Pike was talking about Earth, how they had a World War III.
All right. Okay.
And they showed footage in that of saying people rioted over elections, and they showed footage of, like, I think it was Gen 6 riots and things. And saying people disagreed, they rioted, they went to war, and people like going, "Oh, why they showed that? That's bad." I was going, well, no, that's actually the point, wasn't it? That people disagreed, they rioted, they went to war. That war, the Federation was born to so it was a fine point. But there was just a lot of weird people in here going like, "Oh, I hate this. This is the dumbest thing ever. It's such a liberal." Also going, "I don't think you understand Star Trek." It's like,
people like to complain.
No, but the first time in my life, I'm looking at going, "Am I a Star Trek fan now? Like, am I like, is this Because then I started looking up the specs of the ships and started looking up, like,
well, we're getting closer to that age. Do you remember when we felt obligated to go see the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, the first one?
Yes.
And we sat down in the gold class, and we're like, "Oh yeah," and then in come.
Oh my god, nerdy,
that was like
so insane.
The nerdiest of nerds. Like, I kid you not, the guy comes in and pushes his glasses with the finger against his nose and goes, "It's like the bridge." And you were like, "How do these people afford tickets?"
I'm saying that exact thing. We used to get gold class to sit away from the riffraff, and here they were in spades.
Yeah. Oh, you fork out your money when it's Star Trek, mate.
Having said that, I've always been a Star Wars person.
Oh,
because Star Wars is more, the action thing, but now Disney's put that into the toilet.
Yeah,
and it's maybe it is because we are growing up, but I do enjoy this, a thinking man's sci-fi. Don't get me wrong, Strange New Worlds has enough ship battles and enough explosions to satisfy my need for ship-to-ship violence. But they also have introspective moments and thoughtful dialogue. And I'm going, oh, maybe it is just because we're getting older that we've now become Trek fans.
Just as long as we're closet Trek fans.
Yeah, we can't be open about it.
Yeah, well, it's because as a contrarian.
Yeah, you can't because your family loves it.
Yeah.
That'd be like you one day loving Doctor Who. It's never
gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. Maybe if Henry Cavill plays the Doctor, I might watch it. But
teaming up with Cat Graham, obviously.
Obviously,
that goes without saying.
So listeners, soon we'll be releasing our bingo cards, our Cat Graham Henry Cavill bingo. No, that'd be funny.
Now, obviously, the other thing that I've been watching, and I think that's worth mentioning, is one, we watched arguably the second best Christmas special of all time,
Oh yes, yes, yes.
in the Galaxy Guardians of the Galaxy's Christmas special.
Hmm.
And I wondered how do they get all the actors together. Then I read online like they were filming Guardians 3, hence they just basically
Yeah,
just
they
like
were there.
they were there. Because I was going, oh, that's like them, and that's I was like, oh my, like how they get them all on the set at the same time. It's like, oh, because they were literally all there and they just threw it together. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that makes
Well,
sense.
like you can see Chris Pratt going, "All right, are we done for the day?" And James Gunn's like, "Well,
Well, yeah, we need you to do something real silly.
yeah." No, it's
Having
cool.
said that, it's still probably one of the best written things on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah, like dead sad. Out like one of the best releases this year.
It just shows that DC's in great hands with James
Yeah,
Gunn.
yeah.
And then there were some trailers that came out as well.
Oh yes. Well, yeah. What do we got? What do we got?
So it was Guardians 3 trailer, which obviously was spectacular, but they're either one's going to die or they're all going to die. And I'm not okay with that.
Well, we know they've said it's the final.
Yeah. And I'm not okay with look, I have a horrible feeling that it's going to be Rocket and it's going to be Star-Lord, both of those ones. I have a feeling that they're going to wipe off the two, because James Gunn knows that Disney will try to recreate Guardians. Yeah. But if you take away Rocket and you take away Star-Lord, it doesn't matter who the others are. Like you've taken away and also with Gamora as well.
Yeah.
If you take away those three, Drax is fun, but he's very much the comic relief sort of character.
Yeah.
But if you take away the big three, Gamora, Star-Lord, and Rocket, you don't have the Guardians anymore.
Yeah.
So if I was James Gunn on my way out,
yeah,
that's 3 deaths.
Well, because they said, apparently I heard that because people are trying to cancel Chris Pratt all the time.
Constantly for no reason.
Yep. James Gunn actually said, if you fire Chris Pratt, he said to Disney, I'm going. So
it's funny that they keep trying to fire him and he keeps making movies that make billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like Jurassic, the latest Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I don't understand that because I've never understood all of a sudden everyone goes, he sucks. Like why?
Yeah. He's just too lovable.
He's too lovable. He's too kind.
Yeah. And we also had. Did you watch the Last of Us trailer?
I did not because I just know that show is going to disappoint me.
But man, I will say this: they've got the clickers. They've nailed it.
I hope it's good.
Oh look, I'm really worried, but visually it looks great.
Yeah, because I mean, look, I expect that to happen with Sony actually working on the show. I expect
the guy that who did Chernobyl is the director.
Yeah, so they've got the right bleak director.
Yeah.
They've got the right bleak tone.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about something surprising that I'm not sure how I feel about it. Transformers Beast Wars.
It's because it's our childhood, isn't it?
I love Beast.
Oh yeah.
I used to have every single one of the Beast Wars action figures. The rat, the cheetah, Optimus Primal. There was a raptor whose tail was like a shield that spun around. I can't remember his name now. Maximize and terrorize, and and every single episode, every single week, every now and then, one of the crew would be launched from space because they had to jettison the crew, and then they would race to try to steal it and then convert it into a Decepticon it looked really good.
I know. But what was it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but the original, the series, the TV series, whatever, was that 3D?
Oh, 3D. It was, yeah.
When 3D started becoming popular.
Correct.
Back in our day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So look, I'm worried, but it does look good.
Now, I think they've shown some of the main sort of characters.
Yep.
But if they don't have Black Arachnia or Scorponox on the the giant scorpion and the Black Widowed spider, they've obviously they don't care about us at all.
No,
So,
you know what
like,
they'll do. That'll be the post-credit scene,
ugh,
and then you
no.
go like, ugh.
I don't. No, don't.
You know it's not going to be standalone. If this makes money, and it will,
It will
they're going to
because
milk it.
it looks good. That's the problem,
Yeah.
isn't it?
That's it. It's exactly it.
Because it looks good.
I remember disappointment.
Okay.
But something else that came out that looks surprisingly good was the very controversial non-British Musketeers.
I haven't seen the trailer. What's going on with this? Why are they not British? Like all good musketeers.
Because they want to stay true to the source material. It's in French. So I understood a few words like D'Artagnan and Porthos and Athos and Milady de Winter. But production value. It looks like high budget and properly done.
But but the greatest series, as we all know, is the BBC's one where they were the most British French people alive.
Yeah, and also very modern.
They were modern British.
They're like, hey, we're going to bring in our modern day, thoughts and ideas and throw them into, like what, the 16th, 17th century or something.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah. But no, look, it looks seriously good. Ava Green's in it.
Okay.
But she's speaking French.
But she's still British, so I guess that's still something.
But so they're probably smuggling British people in there, but they just have to speak French.
Or like the time when all the Americans when they did the Three Musketeers movies, they said, "What accents should we do? Don't care, just whatever accents whatever accents you come with, that's fine."
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, but look, I'm very intrigued. This is coming from someone who hates subtitles. Maybe it's.
I hope that they just do like, because they're all obviously British actors. I hope they just do like an English speaking version of it. Just like
they overdub.
Well, I mean, it's the same. Yeah, I'm sure all the actors speak English. Just fucking
No, look, I want to. Look, it's a whole French thing, and I want to see the French do a wonderful version of a French story.
Fine,
that's just my take. Now, we probably should talk about one of the world's greatest events, funniest events, the World Cup.
Yes.
Because something ridiculously funny happened at work. I now know that those big ass giant cranes have horns on them.
What do you mean?
They have horns, meaning like meep, meep,
I know what a horn is. I'm not.
Because we come into work and this guy's we're supposed to be having the meeting. We had the morning meeting, and he's standing there with his phone and he's watching Portugal versus Switzerland.
Yep.
And this guy at work, he's the crane operator. He's actually, I'm pretty sure he's from Portugal. So he's like, go Portugal.
That makes sense.
So he's like, oh, we're probably going to lose, whatever. And then however long into the game it was, up in the crane tower, 100 meters in the air, you hear this horn go, whoa, whoa, and he's shaking the whole thing because they'd scored a goal.
Yep.
Now, do you know what the final score was?
I think it was 6-1, wasn't it?
Yes. So 6 times.
Oh,
the horn's blasting, and he's screaming at the top in this tiny little crane operating box.
Wow.
It was very funny because we didn't have to, keep checking the score.
No. At that point, the score is broadcast over a large.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like think what do you call it? Assassin's Creed, when you cry up to the eagle's nest kind of thing, and
you do your fancy swan dive down.
Yeah. Well, think that like you're that high up, and you're announcing to everyone within the immediate area that Portugal have now scored.
I do think it's funny, and I work with people, and I know people who are big sort of football fans.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always a conversation, Messi or Ronaldo, who is better. The answer is obviously Messi, but then that's just, And I just like the fact that he got upset. He sat down, left, and the person that replaced him scored a hat trick. And I'm like going, To me, that just is. I'm like going outstanding. And look, Ronaldo's a great player and has done many good things. But when you're 37, you should start realizing that it's over.
Yeah.
It's time to move on. Like
well,
a 37-year-old man.
Yeah, I think what was it? Probably Australia's greatest ever goalkeeper, Mark Schwarzer. He hung on a little too long.
But that always is the case with certain sports athletes. Some know when to sort of like walk away.
Yeah.
Most don't.
Yeah. Well, because they want to hang on. It's the Ted Lasso. What's his name? Roy Kent story.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's basically hanging on, and it's also a weird thing in sports when you really think about it. Like they hit 35 and it's like, all right, go away now. You're old. It's like going, that's not that old, but
yeah, in the sports world.
In the sports world, it's like, oh my god, you're over 30.
Well, this World Cup, Australia had the youngest player playing the World Cup since Pele.
How old was he?
18.
18. Wow.
And he almost scored.
that was that young kid, wasn't it? What's his name?
Oh, Cole or Cal? I think it's Koul or something. Yeah, he almost scored an equalizer. And I'm just going like, mate.
Oh yeah, Garen Cool.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Cole doesn't go.
He should have chipped it. When you watch it, you go, you should have. If you chipped it would have gone in. But
hindsight's 2020, Jamie.
Yeah, exactly.
He should have chipped it, but also sometimes keepers can, when they expect the chip, they know exactly what to do, and they just raise up their hand and stop a chip.
But look, it was a closer game than it probably should have been. And do you think Argentina will go all the way?
No, they'll choke again. Brazil will probably win this one because they've just got all the talent.
Yeah.
I would like anyone but Brazil, but again, it just looks like a foregone conclusion at this stage.
Yeah. But I will always say props to Japan because they play with such honor. Like you can tell they're still about honor.
They played well,
and they apparently clean up the stadium. Like
the fans did. Yeah, the fans basically. The fans stayed back and cleaned up the stadium, which I think is weird.
Oh, they're wonderful people. But yeah, I digress. Yeah.
So you saw another trailer that you wanted to talk about as well, Jamie.
I did.
Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't know why I watched it. Indiana Jones 5. I was just curious on how bad it was actually going to be.
I did not watch it because I'm done with Disney. In most in most universes, I'm done with them because I just can't trust them. But you tell me.
Well, look, here's the thing. This is like my first initial thought. Mm-hmm. It's the Tom Cruise problem. You're an old man. You shouldn't be playing an actor that's obviously like I could see all these things that Indy was doing in the trailer should be done by let's say Brendan Fraser in the Mummy era, like that kind of,
or a Chris Pratt now.
Yeah, pretty much. I reckon if it wasn't old Harrison Ford, it'd probably be a good movie. Like it had all the action, all the things you look for in a good popcorn flick.
Mm-hmm.
But an almost 80-year-old man doing the...
Because I remember watching him in The Crystal Skull, the worst movie ever put to film.
Mm-hmm.
A movie so bad that George Lucas went, that's the person that should run Star Wars. Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Because of how terrible this was, you are the right person for And I remember watching like we were 60 at the time or something. I remember watching him that age going, you're this no. Like stop.
Yeah.
You're too old.
Yeah.
Retire. Even back
Yeah.
then.
If any, that should have been the movie with the pass on the mantle, like properly, you know?
It should have been. But now here we are again to pass on the mantle again.
Yeah. Well, apparently he isn't going to be passing on the mantle. It's just the end.
Well, good.
Yeah.
At least, look, either end it, which they should.
Yeah.
Or
2 movies ago.
Or don't do it like, yeah, exactly. This is one of those things you had 3 great films.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not great films. 3 iconic films. How many people out there are archaeologists right now because of, Indiana Jones? Well, how many people own hats and whips because of Indiana Jones? just in general. Like honestly, how many people bought a whip, hurt themselves because of Indiana Jones? Probably like more than you think is feasible.
Yes.
An iconic character, an iconic actor playing an iconic role. The likes of which Nathan Drake, Lara Croft, Brendan Fraser are standing on the shoulders of Indiana Jones because that's how fundamental he was in pop culture. And much like these sports people who were playing their like too long, you're watching the same thing. You're going, you are well past your prime. Hang up your cleats, man. There's nothing worse. Going back to say, sports. Muhammad Ali fought too many times when he should have retired, and it was very clear. That's a common thing with fighters. They don't know when to retire, so they get their butts kicked, and then you're watching these old men get. Manny Pacquiao was probably meant to be one of the greatest fighters, but he kept fighting well past his prime to the point where like some random Australian person beat him. And he was not a good boxer at all, and then he got destroyed by the next opponent because he wasn't a good boxer, which is obvious. But you're watching Indy on the decline, and it's sad. And so I'm not willing to go watch. I don't want to go. I like the same reason I don't go to random funerals.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to this one either. I'm not going to go to this funeral.
Yeah.
Because I know the outcome.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Well, actually, that's highly unlikely.
No, it's going to be painful.
It's going to be painful, or it's going to be just so disrespectful to the character that I'm going to punch someone.
Yeah. He's going to throw his whip over his shoulder.
I mean, not everything can be Maverick.
Oh yeah, well, I think that was a fluke. That was
I still maintain now. I'm going, that's a fluke. That's just a fluke. Because it has no right to be as good as it was, and I still maintain that how did they do that? I still it has to be a fluke. Must be a fluke.
Yeah.
But are you keen to see this latest Indiana Jones film?
No, gosh, no. I just it was interesting that I looked at it and I could. It's like I could see that it would be a good movie if it wasn't an old man Indy, because he's doing all the action stuff like he's a 30-year-old guy or a 40-year-old.
You know what they should have done if they had some brains?
Not do it.
Well, obviously that. But create a new Indiana Jones movie. Let's say Crystal Skull doesn't exist. You create a new Indiana Jones movie. You set it, say, 2 to 3 years after The Last Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
As Indiana Jones.
Recast.
We have had, William Shatner hang up his hat as, back to the Star Trek thing, as Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And he's enjoyed watching others play. Obviously, one of the 4 legendary Chris's of the universe, Chris Pine, did a fine job. And now another actor is taking upon the mantle. He said he enjoys seeing that he enjoys watching other actors take upon the mantle, and because in those roles, whether it be Spock or Kirk or Indiana Jones, the character is bigger than the actor.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't think Harrison Ford can accept that, and so he's like, no one plays Indy but me. It's like, honestly, anyone could play Indy. That's not literally any quippy, snarky person with a hat could play India.
Yeah.
I'm not diminishing what Harrison Ford has done. I'm just saying that you could pass that mantle on to another actor, and I think they'd do just as good a job. But I digress. They will not.
No. God, no.
Well, that was my trip down what I did this week. Jamie, what about you? What about you?
I worked a lot. I had to go on a delivery day. It was pretty funny. I was convinced that the girl driving behind us was in a transformer for
What do you mean?
For two reasons. One, there was a transformer badge on the front of her Jaguar, but also she never looked at the road. Like she was always looking down. Obviously texting or something, but I did not see her, albeit I wasn't consistently looking, in the mirror because, I didn't want to crash the work vehicle. But I'm convinced it's the only logical sense is the reason she could drive without looking at the road is because it was actually a transformer.
What if it was just simply a self-driving car?
No, it could have been, but there was a point where she just suddenly burst out and overtook people.
Would it be one of those scenarios where the person has driven the same stretch of road so many times they basically just know, they know it off by hand?
Yeah, probably, possibly, but it was also kind of heavy traffic.
Interesting.
I just think it was interesting. Never looked at the road, had a Transformers badge on the front of the car.
The more you say that, the more I'm convinced that yes, it was a transformer. There have been stranger things in this world than that.
Yeah, I could have just quietly said Decepticon, or just test the water. But if it was a Decepticon,
you have just nudged her a little bit to see what would happen.
Yeah,
just drive up behind her and give her a little nudge. Now, one or two things will happen. One, you'll hit her, she'll be pissed, and you might meet someone nice, and that could be sort of your meet cute kind of story. Oh, yeah. Or two, the car will transform and point a laser rifle at you.
Yeah.
And honestly, both are pretty good scenarios in my book.
Yeah. I definitely have a story either way.
Exactly.
But other than that, look, I've been watching The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix, the TV series, not the McConaughey movie.
Hey, if it's done by Matthew McConaughey, it's all right.
All right. No, well, because I tried watching the McConaughey movie and it's not as good as the series.
Are you doubting Lord Matthew McConaughey and his fine acting?
Are you saying that every single movie that Matthew McConaughey does is awesome? Name
one bad Matthew McConaughey film.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
That movie is fantastic. I don't know what you're talking about. What movie were you watching?
I'm just assuming because
I tell you now.
What about Dark Tower?
His portrayal was excellent.
Oh yeah, but the movie wasn't too crash hot.
The movie was fine. I tell you right now. This is a very, very simple thing.
All right.
You name one bad Matthew McConaughey film. You go look right now at his IMDb, and there is not a single film that is terrible within his repertoire. He makes hits after hit after hit.
All right. Okay. Here I go. Sing 2.
Hey, a sequel to a movie that is very popular.
Hank the Cow Dog.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like... but doesn't that sound awesome?
Not really, no. Oh, wow, he was in Sing as well.
Yeah, see? Successful sequel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, he appeared on a guest speaker or a show. That's
okay. Wolf of Wall Street. Did you ever watch that?
That was he won that was awesome because he was bashing his chest in front of Leonardo DiCaprio, and that year he won the Oscar over Leo so it was hilarious.
Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
Now that is a well underrated movie. I think it's really,
Oh my gosh, he did a movie called Surfer Dude.
I mean, do you need any more description of that? Like,
well, it hasn't got a very good score on IMDb, but I'm very intrigued because it's just like, I want to write this movie. It's about a surfer dude. Who are you going to cast? Matthew McConaughey. He's a surfer dude. Wow, he was in Rain of Fire.
he was the army tank guy, bald hair.
He's done a lot of chick flicks.
He has
the Wedding Planner. Have you seen that?
Yes, that was with Jennifer Lopez.
Yes, it was. You know what? I think you might be right. I mean, I'll check out Surfer Dude and get back to you.
The man's record speaks for itself, Jamie. You know how we were talking before about Tom Hanks' amazing career.
Yeah,
I think you could easily put Matthew McConaughey's right up there.
Okay, I'm gonna source these very low scoring Matthew McConaughey movies and get back to you.
Okay.
There's one called My Boyfriend's Back.
That's very similar to Katrina Graham's amazing song about her boyfriend, and she thinks she's going to dump him. So again, I think that's a fine film.
Okay. He was in Angels in the Outfield. It's a pretty good movie.
That's great film. He was in We Are Marshall, one of the greatest films of all time.
I mean, okay, look, My Boyfriend's Back. Like, it's a synopsis. Check this out.
Mm-hmm.
A teenage boy comes back from the dead because he is determined to win the most beautiful girl in school. I mean, come on,
that's movie gold right there. That's romance, yes. Jamie. That's romance, and maybe your life is lacking some of that.
Oh well, it's got Matthew Fox in it too.
Again, McConaughey does no wrong.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Again,
well,
the man knows his business.
We'll see. I'm going to take note of these terrible movies. I mean, low-scoring movies, and they may be the greatest movies I've ever seen. You never know. They might be all right. You
can judge a lot by a man by his wife as well.
But that still doesn't change the fact that I prefer the TV series of The Lincoln Lawyer.
It's just, all right.
Have you watched it?
No, but I'm assuming. But again, if you're trying to recreate something Matthew McConaughey did, you're going to fail. So.
No, well, here's the thing. They're based on a book series.
I'm aware of that. But
so they're not trying to recreate Matthew McConaughey. They're going to the source material and going, hey, let's make this interesting story. So.
Well, aren't you
But
aren't you just
I did start reading Aerosmith.
Oh yes, the book you mentioned before, the comic.
The
novella.
Comic of World War One, but with dragons and magic. It is very hero's journey.
Well, I thought you were going to say good, but okay.
No, look, it is quite good. I've only read like one chapter.
That's not enough to determine if it's a good or not.
Okay, let me present this to you. A young man called Fletcher Aerosmith, that's his name.
Already has a hero's name.
And he wants to go and fight in the war. Yes, much like Captain America.
Yep.
But his parents don't want him to go.
No.
And even his father's like that magic, magic shouldn't be used in war or something like that. Like that magic stuff is bad juju kind of stuff. And so he decides to sign up. He goes to what they call an air show, where they basically, I guess it's like I think an air show, but like with dragons.
Nice.
And he signs up against his parents' wishes, and he heads off, and he writes letters to them while he's away, and it's got a very World War. It is quite good. I will say that. And there's a troll that It's just there's all these magical creatures, and it's just like planted in the world. And I highly recommend it, even though I mean, it could have a bad ending, but then it follows World War One, so.
Well, but I mean, it's also World War One in a fictitious universe, or sorry, an alternate universe. So we don't know the Germans lose.
Yeah. Yes, well, that's true.
The Germans might win this one, and wouldn't that be an interesting take on it all?
And then does it lean into Man in the High Tower or whatever it is?
Well, yeah, that was when they won World War II. But yes, I do see your point.
Yeah, it tends toward that. Yeah, no, but other than that, the other thing I did is because my niece is now a tragic, Pride and Prejudice tragic.
What do you mean?
She loves Pride and Prejudice. She reads books. She watches the shows, and anytime because she's a 13, 14-year-old girl, and she just loves it. And but every time she mentions it, what I do is I throw on two simple words that make her very annoyed. And zombies.
Pride and Prejudice and zombies.
Yeah, so I watched that movie again on the weekend, and I like it. I will say I like it.
It's fine. That is a fine film.
Have you seen it?
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Of course, I've seen Pride and Prejudice, and I think it's well within the same, theme. No, the same, like it has the same feel as the original series it's based upon.
Yeah, Pride and Prejudice.
Exactly.
And then zombie. Look, that guy is very good at what do you call it? Melding worlds.
I think he's done some other. It's the same guy who did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, wasn't it?
Yep.
And then apparently he also did.
He did one that I think is really cool, but
I think he made it into a movie. It was not. That's the one, right? That's the one that's the one that should be a movie by every fucking sense of the universe.
Oh yeah, because the three wise. Because they were going into Christmas. The three wise men actually go to smuggle Jesus, Mary, and Joseph out while the forces of evil are trying to kill them, like demons and monsters and all that stuff.
How is this not a fucking movie?
Like, I'm just like, please make that one.
Now, let's cast this. So, the first wise man,
Henry Cavill.
Obviously, it's Henry Cavill.
At least one of them is going to be Henry. Or would he play a villain and be like Herod?
No. I think Henry Cavill is the lead wise man.
The lead wise man.
Right? No. I want Chris Pratt to play the villain. I want him to play the Herod character. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And because we are a modern century and we like to race swap and gender bend things. Actually, no, it's just gender bending at this time.
So Mary's going to be Cat Graham.
No. I want. See, whilst I think actually probably from a period standpoint that's probably just completely fine. I think I want her to be one of the wise men, and like. She'll be the ninja. No. So Henry Cavill will be the one with the big sword. So he'll be like the sword fighter.
Yeah.
Cat Graham's Wiseman will be a knife thrower. Like the greatest knife thrower you've ever seen in your goddamn life. But then we still need one that's deep within inside of the mysticism of magics. Jamie, cast me this mystic wise man.
Oh, easy. Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi? Is that his name?
And should we make him just screw it and make him just Morty, Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty? No.
He can lean into it if he wants. No, the thing is, I don't know enough about this book, like what the
I don't care.
are.
Again, we're just taking the idea. We are a Hollywood studio. We are just taking the idea.
It just has to be 10% accurate,
No, basically, these wise men who are from a mystic order coming to save baby Jesus, to escort him out from evil demon Herod. Who gives a shit about everything else? Like this is the movie. Now, again. So you're saying Peter Capaldi as the third wise man? Is that
yes?
Now, who would play Mary and Joseph? My thoughts are Zachary Levi for Joseph,
and
the girl from How I Met Your Mother is Mary.
What, the mother?
Yes.
Okay.
Or Gal Gadot as the mother.
Well, you probably want Gal Gadot involved.
I think we'd have to have Gal Gadot involved in some.
You would at least have someone who has like a Jewish heritage or Israeli heritage.
Or else we'll just be, or else people might get mad.
It's just like, why haven't you cast anyone remotely from the region?
You.
Well, that's because this is actually set in Alaska.
Alaska. Hey. Hey.
Look, no, I think that's a pretty good cast.
Now, I'm assuming we're not going to change the ending though of they still escape, right?
Well, I'm assuming so. Kind of like how Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, the history is all the same, like as in Abraham's life, apart from on the side fighting.
Oh yeah, by the way, I just read this. I should have realized this, that actually Kat Graham's mother is Jewish and she was raised in a Hebrew school. So
well, there you go. She's Mary.
So again, no. I want her as my knife. I want her as my knife throwing.
Maybe
my knife throwing.
What if Mary's a knife thrower?
Oh,
what if she gets trained?
No. Okay. Here's our completely blasphemous twist. Mary is actually from the same mystical order of wise men. So she's just back home having a baby, and then obviously she realizes demons, so that she summons.
She has a dark past.
No, she's a from a mystical order of demon hunters.
Oh, okay.
Same with the other wise men. And so when she determines that there is like that Herod's being possessed and there's danger, that's when she sends a signal up to summon her fellow wise men to come save her, to rescue her and her husband.
Okay.
There we go. But then we're missing one wise man.
So we swapped her out.
Yeah.
Do you still want a female wise man, or do you want a?
No. She's the one again. I like again.
You just want to check to throw
There'll
knives.
be enough Christians with signs like yelling at us. We can't have two female wise men. Idris Elba.
Oh yeah, no. Why did we think of that?
Of course, it has to be Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Actually, no, but I can't have him.
He's a very intimidating wise man.
But I can't have Idris Elba and Henry Cavill. You see, okay. Idris Elba has to become the leader of the wise men then.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and then Henry Cavill is just the tough wise man.
Yeah.
But Idris Elba's the wise man, and because he's so ahead of his time, he has guns. Like honest to God, pistols.
So what is he going to be like? The Idris Elba just pick him out of Dark Tower?
Yes,
the gunslinger.
Yeah. Yes. So actually, no, you're not. Because we're trying to be somewhat realistic. They're flintlock pistols.
Oh, okay, they're muskets.
Yeah. Because that's how smart he is, and that's because he's wise. He's developed muskets before every single other person on the planet.
Now, are they Roman muskets?
No, just like look at your Revolutionary War British officer flintlock pistol. That's it.
So Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah, and he has like 4 of them, and then people go, "Where'd you get that powder? From the east? You wouldn't want to fire near this, my friend."
No. He's got 3 pistols.
Oh,
hear me out.
Yep.
This is my gun, frankincense. This is my gun.
Oh my God,
myrrh.
Yes, gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Yeah.
No. Shut up. Shut up. That's their code name. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. In the mystical order of knights that they're from. Each of them have a code name. And so when summoned, they go, "We need to send our wise men. We're sending the wise men. Who will we send? Get me gold, frankincense, and myrrh." Lord.
And they are the gifts to forever protect.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Wow. Are we going to hell for this?
Probably. But the point is, the Star of David is the signal that Kat Graham's character sends into the sky when she it's and it's that's how she alerts them about this. And then much like the true story, they go to Herod's castle and they can sense the demonic taint, and they're going, "We're looking for someone. Never mind." And they back away, and then they have to get they get on their camels and they go, "Quickly, we must go." And then they have an epic battle all the way through the street. And Herod sacrifices the firstborn son of everyone to summon his massive demon army, and that's what they have to fight off to get them safely away. I mean, this movie just writes itself, and yes, we're going to hell, but that's not.
Oh, we can always repent later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are we going to dive into our topic?
I don't know. I think wasn't this the topic?
Oh well, we were talking about doing a Christmas episode, and that's
and look, there's nothing more
story.
Christmassy than our pitched movie about the Secret Order of Knights protecting Mary and her son.
Loosely based off that.
Loosely based off
written by that guy.
By that guy
who wrote, Abraham Lincoln, The Vampire Hunter, and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I'm surprised he hasn't done anything else.
He does have a theme though, so he has to find the right historical event.
Is it kind of like how they only did 2 Nick Cage National Treasures because they didn't do a third one because they could not for the life of them think of a plot?
Well, they just probably that, but they also had achieved perfection. It's like, we're done, we're finished.
Yeah.
Why do a third? It's just too perfect with 2.
Yeah. Those movies are great though.
Until Disney come along and went, we want to do a series.
They're like, now imagine this. Let's do a new National Treasure, but without Nicolas Cage. Are you sure? Because he'd do it. He'll do anything. No, I don't want him.
It's insanity. Absolute,
it is
utter insanity. It'll be the same as going, let's do a Pirates of the Caribbean movie without Johnny Depp. So going, you can't do that.
You can try.
Well, they have tried. Pretty sure they're still trying.
I think they tried to do it with Margot Robbie, and then they got canned.
But I think it's back on the. I think it's back on the. I think it's back on the. Was it the like? They canned it, and they went, you know what? We were onto something, and so I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, and won't make much money, and then they'll
blame us again. Yes,
they'll blame us.
They'll blame us, me, Chris Park, you, Jay Brown, the white men, for not going to see it. I mean, and look, I get them blaming the 2 whitest men in the world. I get that. I do. I understand. But sometimes it's not my fault directly.
Yeah.
Sure, I use my magical powers to convince thousands upon millions of people not to go see movies. Again, that's just that's the power I have been given. It's more so. I'll tell you a story, and this is a true story. When I went to Korea, my homeland, I was given a jade vase as a gift. I rubbed the vase, and a genie came out.
Oh.
It was a Korean genie, so much like your standardized genies, it was wicked and had its own plots. And so they said, "What magical power would you have?" And I said, "I would like the magical power of probability. I can change the probability of any outcome and then change the fate." He goes, "Okay, yes, but you can only change the probability of people going to see female-led action movies." And I was going, wow, that is a very specific power. But if that's all I can do, that's all I can do. So yes, Ocean's 8, Ghostbusters. It was me. It was me who changed the world's probability to not go see your film. Charlie's Angels, that was also me. I used my powers of probability to make people not go see the film. And again, with Rings of Power, I had to call the genie and double check. Was this within my remit of powers? And he said, "You know what? I'm going to let you slide on that one, Chris. I'm going to let you slide." And so with this new latest, and that's why Wonder Woman did so well, because I like Gal Gadot. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to increase the probability of people go seeing the movie.
That reminds me that there was some Facebook thread that was going around, and it was like, pick the power that you want, and then someone will comment the side effect or the
Yeah.
part. And it's like someone's like, "Oh, the power to stop time," and then someone writes, "But you stop with it." I love things like that.
Yes, my power is the power of probability, but I can only influence people going to see female-led action-starred movies.
Yeah.
It's a small power, but you know what? I think I made a difference.
Yeah. Good stuff. But yeah, so a few weeks ago we watched what was it, The Northman.
Oh yes, The Northman, our topic.
Yeah, so I know our topic isn't The Northman, but we kind of thought about revenge, the art of revenge in film and stories. And when it's done well, it's quite powerful. And The Northman was very.
The Northman was that movie, and as I said to you before, who did this man study under?
Oh yeah, the director was like.
You don't learn camera tricks like that just by like going. I play. You don't just play God of War Ragnarok and go single shot camera. Let me try that in the films.
Yeah.
It's when was that movie 1917? What was that movie?
1917.
Yeah, people like raved about how they did this single camera shot because it was impossible, different, blah 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 blah. And then this random indie director goes, "Oh, let me give it that a whirl."
Like,
okay.
hold my beer.
Hold my beer. Let me give that a whirl. Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Great film, but you're right. There's something beautiful about a revenge story.
Mm-hmm.
What was apart from The Northman, what's another one of your favorite revenge stories?
The one that I think this is the one that got me into the kind of revenge stories was the Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, the slowest revenge of the history of the universe.
It's the art of getting the perfect revenge. Because this guy could have easily done it.
As I said to you before, is the Count of Monte Cristo a slow revenge story, or did he just forget about the vengeance and then they went, "Oh shit, I've got vengeance to do"?
Well, I think probably a little bit of sidetrack because you're in prison for that many years, and then someone's like, "Hey, there's some treasure over here," and you get your hands on that much money in gold. You're gonna buy some toys. You're gonna live a little,
So, but would it be more just my theory is it's more just I guess the standard video game scenario where he like the Count of Monte Cristo did all the side quests before, before he went, you know what?
Yeah.
Oh crap! I've got to do this whole vengeance plot thing.
But you know what makes this Count of Monte Cristo so good? At least the one with Jim Caviezel and what's his name, the Aussie actor, Guy Pearce, is because this is one of our beloved favorite actors' first films. A young Henry Cavill.
A young Henry Cavill.
Young Henry Cavill plays Jim Caviezel's son.
Jim Caviezel also played Jesus, based upon our other topic.
The connection. You're all bringing it together. It fits nicely, very nicely together.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and that film ends with a nice, traditional fencing sword fight. So,
hey, who doesn't like a good sword fight? So, another top vengeance movie that starts with a V. V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta. Yeah. Obviously.
One of the greatest speeches of all time. I'm not even going to try to say it. Because, it's like going, how many V words there are in the dictionary? I have no idea. Put them all into a single sentence for me, thank you. It was just, again, I mean, that movie rings so true today, it's not funny. Where basically the evil British government who lied about a pandemic potentially or created a disease and released a population. I remember the story, but then they said, that scene where the arch lord or something's basically going, you get down to the press and you tell them and you make people remember why they need us. And then there's the news reports all these bad stories and catastrophes. I was going like, oh, that's a little too close for home now. Stop.
Oh. Do you think the government's watched V for Vendetta and went, you know what? I want to be like.
I often wonder people who get into politics. Do they watch the movie and go, you know what, that villain, and not the hero, like that Red Skull, he had a good point, like maybe, and maybe they're watching and going, Thanos was right. You're right. You know what? Maybe
there are days I think Thanos is right. Just saying.
I have to agree with you. There are some days where I think like, would it be so bad like if we wiped out half of the planet?
Tell me, people stuck in traffic. At least half the people are thinking that.
Oh, look, I think people stuck in traffic is the why wars will happen eventually. I think eventually that's what's going to make people snap.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I've gone like 3 kilometers once in like an hour because of like the traffic, and I'm just there going like, I'm going to kill every one of you motherfuckers. And then the worst thing is, I was on this road coming home. It's literally like, it's normally without the cars, it's normally like a 5-10 minute trip.
Yeah,
half an hour passes, and then I start screaming at these idiots because they're letting people in.
Yeah,
I'm all for
merging.
Being nice about like these people pulling out from shops and like they're pulling out from like dealerships and things and side streets because they have to, and so people, they see the red light, so they stop and they let them in. No. No. This is one thing in society I think we need to kill.
What, manners on the road?
Letting people in, because again, if they really have to go through, they should wait for the appropriate window. You shouldn't have to rely upon the kindness of strangers to drive your vehicle. Much in your area, Jamie, back in the Richmond Road days, where I knew people were taking the shortcut down the road to bypass all of that North Richmond Road traffic to then sneak out and then because people from the country are like going, oh, damn martyr. Now that damn boy needs to get in. Oh, poor person, poor boy, coming down from Penrith. He must absolutely. I'll let him in. Oh, his friend wants to get in too. Yeah, I'll give him to let his friend through. In reality, they came through Richmond like the rest of us, and they just realized they could just go down the side path and then basically cut across everyone else. So again, a functioning society should be polite in every aspect except one. Cars in the road. At that point, I think Mad Max has it the best system, and I think we should,
That's fine.
I'm also not against the purge as well as an overall concept.
All right, okay.
But again, revenge.
Revenge. Well, we have to mention John Wick, obviously.
Yep, the movie where you can kill people, but if you hurt a dog,
oh yeah.
It doesn't matter how many people you kill. They're going, as soon as that dog got killed, they're going, he needs to kill every single person in the universe, and their blood needs to fill the entire scores of rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned that they're doing a 4th. I am concerned about the 4th because,
and the 5th and the 6th.
But it's such a good,
he's such a cool character.
Do I want to see more? Yes. Am I worried? Of course. But, you're right. It's such a cool character. But really, how much more can they one-up the fight scenes and what's left there to do?
Yeah. They're going to work their way. He's going to go through a stationery store, Here in Australia, he'll walk into Office Works and have a fight scene, because he starts with the books, then he can do the pencils, then he can do the laptops.
All there is to do is have him fight on space. That's the next. I guess the next thing, fighting in zero gravity in space.
Yeah.
Is that too much? No, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, John Wick on the International Space Station killing all those astronauts. Yes, you know, fuck it. Actually, no, I do want to see that. Actually, now that I've said it, I yes.
Yeah.
So other revenge tales.
Okay. Well, look, here's the thing. Look, I'm always a fan of the Punisher, but at what point does it become punishment? Like, because he says, "Oh, it's not revenge; it's punishment." But when someone murders your entire family, I mean, it's
that's revenge,
like,
straight up.
Yeah.
I think he's just trying to justify it to himself that it's not vengeance, but it is absolutely vengeance. And again, let's talk about vengeance. Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he says "I am vengeance" in the latest film. Like, I'm pretty sure that's like a word that there's literally words that come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That he is vengeance and he is the knight. But would that really be vengeance? Because he's not fighting the person that killed his parents. He's just fighting general criminals.
Yeah.
Is that vengeance though?
I don't know. I think at least with the Punisher, I think you could the argument could be that yes, his story starts with revenge, but then he's punishing criminals.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. What about Batman?
Batman, it doesn't make unless he's taking revenge on Gotham as a city. Is that a possible thought? I don't know. Or maybe once upon a time someone said, "Hey, that sounds cool. I'm vengeance."
You as much as I like to think that every time Batman fights one of these villains, he sees the gunman that shot his parents, and he's basically just taking out his anger on these ones. You're probably more likely to be true that a comic book writer wrote that down once and they're that looks awesome. Oh my god, that's amazing. Like, there could be some deep psychological thing where remember that Black Death movie?
Yes.
Where at the end the Inquisitor just saw the girl and every girl he tortured because the witch, because it wasn't her, but he just saw her and everything because that's that sort of thing with Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But you're probably more right. A comic book writer wrote that down, and then everyone danced around for hours going, "This is the greatest line of all time."
And how do we make it work? Yeah. Other than that, I think Taken's a good one.
That's not really vengeance, though.
Are you sure?
That's retribution.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he was very clear on the consequences. He was saying, walk away now.
Yeah.
All good. Continue on this path.
Yeah.
Here is the 5-point presentation of how I'm going to fuck you up. Again, not vengeance so much. It's just more he got his daughter back. He could have could have ended there, but no, he decided I'm going to get away by killing my way through this entire organization.
Yeah. Well, what about Deadpool? Would that be revenge?
No.
He's looking for Francis,
Oh, actually. Yep. Okay. You know what? You're right. That there is vengeance. The drive to want to find Francis.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good vengeance story, actually. You know what? You're right. I will accept that as solid vengeance.
Yeah. I can't think of too many.
I mean, you can look at basically every 80s action film where basically
that's true.
The worst job is in the history of cinema.
What?
Being the hot wife of an 80s action film star.
Oh, no doubt.
Because she dead. The Marine comes home and she's happily greets him and everything's I'm watching those movies going, my god, that girl is so dead. That girl is that girl is so dead.
It's
she's gonna die in 3, 2, 1.
Anytime, any movie where it starts where there's this joyful, happy little family, and they're really leaning into family. Something's going to go wrong.
The wife is so overly in love with the action hero, it's beyond ridiculous. You're going, oh, she is so dead. She is so dead. And then it's even that's the birth of every hero. So she goes, I was looking into my attic and I found my grandfather's crossbow. Oh, look at that! I'm a machine gun man, and then all of a sudden comes she gets killed by some cartel, then he becomes this crossbow wielding vengeance man. I mean, come on, I mean, I've never seen that film, but now that I've said that, I do want to see this film.
All right, casting Henry Cavill. No. Would you be okay with Cat Graham dying that early on though? That's the question.
Oh, yes, because it'll be her grandfather's crossbow is the thing that he'll use for the tool of vengeance, and he'll use no guns but the crossbow.
And you would do flashbacks.
Flashbacks, obviously, gratuitous flashbacks.
Yeah.
Gratuitous flashbacks.
Yes.
But who would be the lead? This former Marine now returned home from the war, swearing off guns, moving his home to a nice peaceful town in Arizona. But then obviously that's when the cartels come up and murder his family. Who would play the lead this role?
Let's go someone random. Let's go Joseph. What's his name? The guy who played Robin, but not Robin in
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
That's the word. Yes,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt with Cat Graham playing the returned decorated Marine from the wars. We won't specify which war because as we learned from Maverick, never to specify the enemy, never specify the war.
Yeah,
there's always just the enemy,
and that's the same in Black Adam.
Yes, exactly.
Which country is this? I don't know.
Yep, it returns home, loving family, beautiful kids. Cat Graham greets him at the door. She's cleaning up the attic and finds her grandfather's older crossbow. Because you see, he was a crossbowman back in the day, and Joseph will comment on how ridiculous a crossbow is for a weapon because we've got modern weapons, and she goes, no, a crossbow takes time, precision, and discipline, something that maybe you lack a little bit of, and they joke and laugh a little bit about that. It's quite cute. He goes down to the grocery store with Cat Graham, and they run into this cartel. Now, this is not your everyday cartel. There's a white man, a Hispanic, an African American, an Asian, and every single ethnicity is represented in this cartel. So you can't say it's for a cartel for any specific. They might do drugs, they might do guns. Who knows? It's very multicultural.
So what you're saying it is the United Nations of drug cartels.
Correct. And they wolf whistle at her because they're still scum. They're still scum. And he steps across, and then she holds his arm back and says, "Don't." They run this town, and they go, "Oh, what are you gonna do, soldier boy? Oh yeah, big hero, return from the war." And he looks at them, and then they step in front of him as he goes to the grocery store, and he goes, "You know what? Just for that, you gotta pay us because of your disrespect. You gotta pay us. You gotta pay us some money." And he goes, "I ain't paying you nothing." They go, bend the knees. They're going, "I fought for 280 days, never to bend the knee." And he walks into the grocery store, brushes his shoulder of this criminal played by Henry Cavill, the leader of the cartel. Then they return home. They get in their Toyota Utes, because we need sponsorship, sponsored by Toyota, and they all drive down with their Toyota Utes, and they start firebombing his house. The first thing that they fire a rocket launcher to the window, destroying all of his guns. He runs up, tries to find any semblance of weapons, but he can't find any weapon. Again, he then hears the worst thing ever. He hears the scream and cry as they're dragged out the front of the lawn. Everyone's watching, no one's doing anything. Cat Graham is executed. The house burns down with him still in it, and all he could find to help him free himself from a big wooden pillar is the crossbow. He then loads the crossbow and loads of rope and fires it, then drags and pulls his burnt body out. He then swears vengeance upon this cartel. A wounded, burnt man, he goes down to his local police, but they won't do anything because, we'll make it so blatantly obvious. As he walks in, you'll see when the cartel member hand them a bag of money with a big dollar sign on it. And they say, "Oh, sorry, that's what happened to you. I was terrible, but it was a simple fire. Everything's been it's all explained. No, nothing." And that's when he'll start setting on his path of vengeance with his crossbow.
Copyright, Chris Park.
Now we need a name for this crossbow vigilante.
Oh, well, you see, I almost want to change it to a bow and arrow and relate it to the true Scotsman. I think it was a Scotsman. Mad Jack Churchill, who fought in World War II with a broadsword and a bow and arrow. The long guy.
You know what? We'll change the story. Cat Graham is British for some unknown reason.
No, she probably could do an accent.
Of course, she could do an accent. And her great grandfather was Mad Jack Churchill.
Exactly.
And so what they find in the attic was the sword and the
bow.
The sword and the bow.
Yeah.
And then he, with his burnt, disfigured face, puts on a soldier's mask, puts on the outfit, and then becomes the vigilante vengeance Churchill himself.
Yes.
Mad Jack.
Jack.
They'll call him Churchill, but he has another name that's whispered. Then they call that Nightmare Jack.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
done.
now we'll copyright that. Copyright that.
Copyright that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would, you know what? I don't care. That movie, even though it's cheesy as all shit, the amount of violence I would pack into this film, the amount of flashbacks showing Cat Graham, it'll be a winner.
Yeah. And this is what we do here on Stories of True and Fictional. We create masterpiece stories just off on a whim. You know?
These stories on a random whim.
Wait till you hear our Christmas episode. I mean,
I can't wait for it.
I've got some plans. We're gonna have an interview, a story chat episode coming out next week with a different kind of Jack Roney. He's coming back.
Excellent.
And then we'll have a Christmas episode after that. And maybe we'll have a summary of 2022, like what's our highs and lows of 2022.
Outstanding. That sounds like an excellent plan. Now, Jamie.
There's one thing we haven't done, Chris. There's one thing we haven't done. We haven't mentioned Rebecca Cassells at this episode.
Oh my God, we're going to get in trouble.
We dived in pretty quickly, pretty swiftly. We were, feeling pretty energetic. But we have to mention our sponsor, Rebecca Cassells, and the Rising Dawn series on paperback and Kindle for all you lovers of paranormal romance with werewolves.
And we also must mention, because again, I do feel bad, that very soon, apparently in February next year, she'll be sending us the first draft of the first few chapters of our stories, true and the fictional romance stories between Henry Cavill and Cat Graham. Each chapter will be a different romance. Again, but think of this as a multiverse book where you just basically get to see Cat Graham and Henry Cavill meet time and time again in different characters, in different eras, in different scenarios. We're extremely excited about this book, and apparently, from my understanding, the first draft of the first few chapters will be available to us in February of the new year. And we might even start reading some of them to you as we start diving into these scintillating chapters. I do believe the first one is about chess, but that's not confirmed yet. So stay tuned.
And so I'm pretty sure that she's finding out about this right now.
Shut up! Don't ruin. Do not ruin the fun of that scenario.
I want to read stories about Cat Graham and Henry Cavill playing chess. Would you want to do various chess? Like, for example,
no.
You can get Jurassic Park chess.
I want throughout time. So I want one chess modern. I want a chess. I want maybe one day when he's like a 1960s businessman, she's a flight attendant. Maybe one time she's the president of the United States and he's the intern. Okay. Like I want the full gamut of stories.
Oh, okay, cool.
Both true and fictional.
Oh, okay. so we have to organize Cat Graham and Henry Cavill to actually have a game of chess.
If there's one life goal, Jane.
All right. Well, I'm sure we've got the social media, so I'm sure we could.
Sure. We can figure something out.
We need the perfect hashtag, but
Now, Danny, if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, complaints about our biblical stories, where can they find us?
thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. Please send us a random story. If you've got a story you want us to read out, a short one, we could read it out on the show. But you can also follow us.
If you have even a concept of idea of a story, we'll just make one up on the time and then see how that flies.
We're happy to. We're happy to do most requests. We're big fans of hate mail too. So Yeah, send it to thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com or on Instagram, stories_podcasts. And we are on Facebook, Stories the True and the Fictional.
But apparently we are more active on the Instagram.
Yeah, that's correct, because I like making a lot of, short little videos.
Between Jamie searching for Instagram models.
No, because you've already searched for me and you just...
No, I just send you the names, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A few weird ones. But yeah, that's where you can find us.
Depends on your taste, really. So.
Yeah. But this has been another great tangenty episode. And yeah. Take us out, Chris. Take us out.
And as we end in every single scenario, like the true British people we are going to end like the French musketeers and bid you adieu.
Adieu.